development.
Whoops.
Like setbacks, green belts, things like that, whether they're impactful for potential. What comes to mind is you have a fire in the Green Trees area or a fire in Florentine, and there's not much space between structures.
Yeah, and that gets discussed a lot, and I am involved in those discussions because those people come to the fire department and say, fix this. I said, well, it's not a fire department issue, it's a city issue. And I think the city does everything they can do. Like behind Florentine, that green belt there, they wanted the city to go in and clear it out. Well, I mean, the state says, no, you can't do that because it's a water area. And so I'm involved in a lot of those discussions, and I think the city is doing a good job of what they can do. And they're pretty strict with the setbacks.
Coach Village. I had to meet somebody there. They had to meet me and like grocery outlet guide me through this labyrinth, and I thought, I can't even imagine getting an ambulance but a fire truck back there. There's no place to turn around and everything's just.
Well, and the propane tanks that are buried.
Oh, sure.
I mean, they didn't start out buried, but that stuff is overgrown. Yeah, no, that's a concern for me, that area. Coastal Village has its own code.
So the city of itself.
Essentially, I mean, the city runs it. I mean, they're overarching, but there's a separate chapter just for Coastal Village. And we were going out to all these places, and we're doing we're working with the hydrants, the water system, make sure that works. But yeah, Coastal Village is a concern. I actually went out there and took our deputy state fire marshal toured that. I said, see what I'm dealing with here?
You should take him all the way to the back and then turn him loose and see if he can get back up.
Yeah. It's a her, but she would, yeah. She's spunky, she'd probably do it, but.
So what is our progress on finding the fire marshals so that you don't have to do two jobs?
Now, still have the word out. I've brought on Jerry Ward as a fire inspector, so that's helped a lot. We're just getting him up to where he's feeling comfortable. He's not comfortable on the computer end of being a fire inspector, but he's comfortable going out there and doing actual inspection. So that's helping. Okay. Yeah, you'll see some of these are fire marshal, but yes, we don't have one right now, but still a good goal. Maintain strategic planning as a living document. I think we're doing great on that. And this is the one I was talking about earlier, is standard recovery and deployment plan. And yeah, and I've got deputy chief there, but really this is a team project. And you just had to put one name there, is all. But I think I thought we needed a standard recovery SOC since 5 years ago when I got here. And it's something we're really struggling with data, acquiring the proper data. So there's just some technical issues we need to get through.
In the budget season, do you need more resources or some money to have an outside contractor help with that?
And I think that's one of the goals. I think that's the way we're going to have to go. I think Matt thought that he could do it, but I think he's run out of bandwidth with everything else that we've dumped on.
Might consider that.
Yeah, I think that's.
Does SDAO have any retired?
SDAO, the other
people on board that can come in?
There's a lot of,
maybe Chief Heppel over Eugene Springfield, they know people.
I'm sure he does through OFCA. And yeah, I think there's a lot of people that do it for us. I think that's going to be the way to go.
Yeah, I agree. We give them the money and just say, hire somebody and have them do it.
Get it done.
Yeah. I agree 100%. Emergency Operations Plan in association with the WLOG. That's a slow process. WLOG, that's sort of a combined city, fire, EMS, and then a bunch of civilian groups that try really hard. It's just, again, it's just asking a lot, and it's being, Megan Messer runs it. She does a great job running it. But getting a final plan, I think we're at the point where we have a plan, but it just hasn't been exercised. It's going to work. I think that's what we have to do with that. And again, the regional natural hazards plan, the county just got a new emergency manager. Patience left, she got stolen by the state. So they just brought in a brand new emergency manager. I think they just announced it yesterday. I think she's been there for a while, a couple weeks or a couple months. So I expect that we'll hear more from the county for that. Collect data and make appropriate changes positively affect our ISO rating. So we have a 410 rating. ISO is essentially insurance companies use them. What's the rating? A lower number is better. So 1 is the best you can do. And some insurance companies use that rating to set their ratings. Not all of them, but some do. And so if you're within 5 miles of a fire station within 1,000 feet of a hydrant, you're 4. Everybody else would be a 10 district, fire district. And I think we've done, so what ISO looks at, they look at your training. We've increased our training since May 2017. We're documenting it much better. They look at, are you doing fire inspections? Well, now we're doing fire inspections. We have that at record. Are you testing hydrants? Well, and that's difficult for us because we're not responsible for testing hydrants. That's either the city or Florentine or Green Trees or Southview. They are responsible.
And the water purveyors are responsible,
right,
party to bring that information up to the ISO raters.
Right. So it's in our best interest to get that done. So we do help them.
And communications is a key factor.
Communication, I think that's gotten better. I don't know, since 2017. I think that's good. Equipment, I think we're doing really well on equipment. Staffing, in 2017, we were volunteer. I don't know if they had hired at that point, but we got many more career personnel now. So I think
you can get 2 or 3, chief.
Yeah.
When do they redo the rating?
They do it every 10 years, but they've also been known to do it 5 years, but
Can you?
You can request it.
we could, yeah, we've done already. And they have been in contact with me. I think 2 years ago, we had to update our maps. They wanted to know where all the stations are.
And especially with the water upgrades that the water districts have been doing, you can call them and say, there's been significant change. We would like another rating.
Yeah, I think we're ready to do that now.
I have a question, living on the Cedar Beach Road.
Yep.
And that water disaster that goes from 101 to rhododendron. And,
Construction, yeah.
well, there's standing water, and I don't know how much, and some of like, where my house is, there's a hydrant right there, and it's almost completely underwater at some point. And I don't know if it's what impacted by, what that company, Knife River or whatever.
There's a beaver dam.
Yeah, and we've got high water table there and beavers.
Have you seen the big lake over, to see the south?
I haven't been there for a while.
Oh my God. Cause that water stuck inside people's houses.
Yeah, we've got a lot of rain, yeah.
Yeah, no reason for any more than rain.
That's got beavers.
Yes.
Okay, this is, organization structure. I think we have a great, chart going. Capital improvement, capital replacement plan. That's in place. We update that routinely. It goes out 10 years. So we're estimating when we need ambulances, when we need fire trucks, all kinds of vehicles. Big capital purchase coming up is the CBAs, which cost in the range 400,000, 500,000. We're going to see if we can just get new bottles instead of going the whole. So we're trying to save money there.
Well, how old are the regulators?
10 years.
10 years. That's about max.
Yeah, and
Unless they can do it off. Who's the vendor?
we use Scott or MSAs for, what's our SME? Scott, yeah. Sorry.
Scott's? Does anybody know if they're taking the old regulators in and updating them, so you don't have to buy, you just buy new bottles instead?
That's financially in their interest.
No, I know, but I know that they were thinking, I know MSA was gonna do that.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. We'll certainly look at that. Yeah.
Of course, they're not gonna, but, you know. And do they give us a credit back for taking in the old?
Usually they do, not much, but. I mean, yeah,
And how many air packs are we looking at?
well, that's the other question. I mean, we have, do you do every seating position, which is typical.
Correct.
But we would never use that many.
Well, you should have one for every seating and then one reserve, right? Isn't that what we used to do? Yeah, and so you have one reserve pack on what are the units. So if you're running 3, you should have 4.
So we have like 50 seating positions.
50, 50.
We have a lot of vehicles.
Yeah. And
We
that,
would never use that many at one time.
no, I get it. I'm just trying to think. When a rig goes out of service, we don't strip the rig and put the DAs on, we do?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. So if you look,
How many airbags we have out of service,
yeah,
that we are reserving and doesn't have airbags, then our primary engine, if it goes out of service, then we'll take those airbags and put them on our reserve engine.
Gotcha. Are we outfitting the Type 6s with DAs? We are. Okay, so that's, so 50.
I don't know about the type 3 we did.
Yeah, Type 3, yeah, I get it.
Type 6, I'm not sure what we're planning on now.
Hey, Director Polisi. So
Yes,
last
sir.
time we made an order, we got 50 air packs and 100 bottles. We talked about, do we need that many and maybe surplusing vehicles? The Type 6 that's coming from OSFM, it is equipped to carry, I think, 2 air packs. But we have talked about maybe, do we need to do the same purchase that we did before, the 50 and 100, or can we get by with 35 and, maybe 60 air bottles. At any given time, we have
Sure.
quite a bit of extra air bottles in our air room, our compressor room. So, yeah, it's definitely something we've been talking about. I don't know if the new Scots are compatible with, I'm sorry, I don't know if the new air bottles are compatible with our Scott packs right now.
Yeah.
10 years old.
Yeah, they won't be.
Yeah, technology.
They all have HUDs too.
That's right. And so,
Because we don't have heads up displays and here's. All the names.
so is each staff member given their own mask, correct?
Full time.
Full time? Okay. So I'm just trying to figure something out in my head here. Is the compressor, would it be compatible with the new air packs?
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Oh,
That's another issue. We might need to get a new cascade system, but I think we're maybe a year or 2 out from that.
Yeah,
But that's going to be a significant purchase.
The big thing is you want to make sure your packs are compatible with bottles. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
And obviously your regulators too.
So we're gonna have a committee that, evaluates all the different ones and there's 4 major ones now.
so what is our deadline date? Because it's a safety item.
Well, that's if we can get bottles. And then we get away from the hydro test issue, we may be able to extend the life of our current packs.
And those 30-minute bottles or 45-minute?
We use.
Sorry, but 30-minute bottles
No,
are
like
45?
Yeah,
They're 45.
PJ's working on constantly. I mean, that's our, in-house and then that's the can.
Sure, yeah. Okay, well, that's a big ticket item.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a necessity.
But I know
Yeah.
there's usually a lot of grants for packs.
There is, but didn't the agency?
We've done that, is the problem, so that
one's
puts us
out.
lower on the list, but yeah.
Well, what about a state grant?
I don't know if any state ones.
Doesn't the state, I thought I read something in the estate, the special fire districts about monies available for rural districts. Did you see that? Or that it wasn't?
It might be too big,
Uh,
our budget.
One quick question. Are the medic units equipped with air packs?
No.
No. So when those that are cross-trained show up on a medic unit, they gotta get an air pack.
If there's one available.
See, that's not-
But yeah, because when we bought the ambulances, they were EMS only.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying is,
We should have ambulances that have SCBA's.
everybody on the fire ground should have a self-contained breathing
Oh, yeah,
apparatus.
they're not allowed to do anything without SCBA.
I mean, they're gonna be exterior, but if something goes south on the incident, we need to make sure that those personnel can grab, you know, an air pack off of a rig
Sure, absolutely.
and mask up.
Yeah, they're cross-trained,
Yeah.
they can do a lot, being first on scene.
Oh, yeah,
They can size up,
Size up,
do all
yeah.
kinds of stuff.
That command.
Software doing-
That's pretty much what they do is first on the ambulance will, set command, does the size up. Wait for, the duty chief to show
Do a
which is
360, do a 360.
Yep.
It's huge.
up. Yep. So that part, I think we're doing really well. It's, getting SCBA for everybody.
And I don't wanna beat this into the dirt, so we're looking at potentially upwards of $1 million for air packs and a new compressor. And it's gonna be in that neighborhood.
But, and I should have brought the capital plan, but it works out well. We've got vehicle purchases on either side, so
Right.
we've got our capital purchases are really low for 2 years here. So. But yeah, that's always an issue.
It's a necessity.
So community outreach and education, I think we're doing really good on part of that. I think, problem is that we just lost our social media person, Dave Bernard, retired. And, so he was doing a good job. I think our website, was getting to where I think it was really helpful for people and our social media folks. So we gotta find somebody else to do that. I think we've got some people in mind to do that. Maintain strategic partnerships, and the reason some of those are yellow is that we're redoing our partnerships. Matt's been really working hard on the West Douglas Fire Defense Board, which we just started back up. So that's a lot of our partners to the south as well as upriver. We're trying to strengthen our upriver relationships, maybe with Swiss Deadwood. I think they've been coming to our training, they're more involved in training now, which is awesome. And then we'll be looking at our mutual aid agreements. Auto aid now, we'd like to go just go straight mutual aid response with that, but it's getting better. Our working with them, and I hope we can continue that. Certain program is red. It's just again, it's the current CERT community response team. They're really older people that are very helpful. So Frank McNulty has done a great job running this program. I talked to him a couple months ago and said, Frank, what can the fire department do to help you? He says, well, he's medicaled out, he's got ankle issues and he doesn't want to run it anymore. So that's fine. We can try and find somebody to run that. So that's what I'm trying to do now is run our CERT program. I think we have a lot of people, even though they're older, want to help. And I think CERT is the perfect way for them to.
Well, Green Trees has their own CERT.
Right, and we need to, and Florentine's got some people, so I'd like to bring them in as well. And I think they are part of the CERT, but we need to make sure that we do exercise. They know what to do, and we know what they're going to do to help us. So
Well, most of the time when CERT's been called out here, it's usually for traffic control for a parade or a 5K
yeah,
run.
that's just because,
Yeah,
and that's
because we all have walking dogs.
and there's so much more that we can do. Yes. So we got to work on that. Community partners, healthcare agencies. I think we're doing our allied healthcare agency. Great relationship with Lane Community College, their paramedic program, and EMT programs. They send us their students all the time for rides and their internships. And I don't know, most of my paramedics are instructors out there, so that's good. Chemeketa just recently reached out. They just renewed their agreement to send riders down here. SWAC, Southwest Oregon Community College wants to be much more involved with us. And actually, Lane Community College, I was talking to the director, he wants to do more out here in Florence from the EMS side, so. I think that's going really well. Again, Rob, has been leading a lot of that.
Do they teach any of the EMS courses at this campus?
They don't yet, but we're trying to get them to do that. Or get us involved. I mean, we've got plenty of people that will teach. So.
I used to teach EMS courses at a fire academy in Texas, and I'm here to tell you, brother doesn't want to work, but the medic, he would wear, these guys would wear full bunker gear and run up and down the steps at a football stadium in July, you know, rather than have to learn about anything EMS related. They had to have it.
Yeah, so emergency prevention, again, a lot of that was our social media. So we slid back a little bit, but we're trying to get that back up. We're running fire plans. I think I showed you some examples. I think our fire plan program is going in the right direction. Code enforcement, not bad, fire investigation. I'm comfortable with the direction that's going now.
Really good. Will they rate you challenging?
Local, specific programs in local schools. I think, we've got, turns out a lot of my firefighters now have kids in local schools, high school down to elementary, so that helps a lot, you know, getting people involved. Consolidation or merger, is green in that it's going in that right direction. We don't have a lot of effort to show. I think that attorney we had, unfortunately, with a lot of help. But George Sutton said that he's a guy that can help us. But that was before he really understood the issues that we have as a health district and a fire district versus two fire districts. So we're still working. Again, this is in the board, on board, the whole thing. So feel free to look at that. And this again is consolidation of merger, which again is important. It's not, if we don't merge, it's not the end of the world. We would just continue status quo. We have a local option levy every 5 years, which is not ideal, but I think we're okay. I would still like to merge. That's something I would like to get accomplished, but we don't want to lose our health. We can't lose our health. Okay. That is our strategic plan review. Again, if you have a chance to look at it and on board and ask questions for that. Okay, did our stop sharing? So staff complaint on ride-along. We had a director do a ride-along earlier this month. There were some staff issues that were sent up the chain of command and they reported to me. I addressed those issues, and I think we've got several. I think my email may be in there. I don't know if my email's in there as well, but this is with Director Stan. I addressed it with him. Copied Director Policey as WLFEA president and Director Heppel as SBR president. We got Cindy involved sort of later as the board president, but Director Policey, board president Policey wanted to bring this up for discussion. Director Stanton's not here tonight. He's at LCOG, but
Thank you, Chief.
He has a name.
Yes, when the chief notified me of what occurred on February 2nd, when Director Stanton did a ride-along, I was kind of taken back by the amount of issues that arose that day. In reading the email that the chief forwarded to me, I felt that it was proper to notify President Russell and President Heppel on this. In lieu of that, we all met and I agreed to go ahead and direct a letter to Director Stanton asking for some kind of an explanation, resolution, because this is some, very serious accusations that are coming from a complaint from our staff. If you'd like, I can go ahead and read each one to you. I know you have them in front of you, but I think for the record, I should read it. In that conclusion, I would like fellow board members for direction, thoughts, processes, etc. So on February 22nd, I drafted this letter to Director Stanton, and it goes as follows. On Friday, February 2nd, 2024, you participated as a civilian on a ride-along at Station 2. Emergency response staff had notified the fire chief of your actions that were against policy and your unwillingness to follow orders for your safety, crew safety, and the public served. Below are the actions noted. Number 1, exiting a bedroom at Station 2. Number 2, picking up a patient care report face sheet at Peace Harbor Emergency Room. 3, failure to follow orders to wear protective gloves while on medical calls for service. 4, interruptions of first responders rendering aid while on the scene of a motor vehicle accident which required extensive extrication and patient care. 5, taking cell phone pictures at the same motor vehicle accident noted in item 4. Number 6, refusal to remove and keep removed a name tag that you wore. You were a civilian riding along, not a representative of the board of directors for the fire district. And as you can see, I conclude with these complaints are serious. Please be advised that a resolution and response will be required from you. This morning, I received an email from Director Stanton. To the best of my knowledge, he did not receive my letter dated February 22nd, but he did state in this, and you will see it, that he pretty much saw the agenda, and I'm thinking that he thought that the complaint was probably regarding him because of the email he sent to the chief. And I will go ahead and read for the record his response to me. Let's see. Oh yeah. His response is dated February 21st at 11:55 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That had been last night at 11:55. And it goes on, subject right along feedback. Whereas the LCOG meeting meets quarterly, the canceled 22nd February meeting is back on as of this week. And I'm the SVFR representative. I will be fulfilling my obligation meeting with LCOG versus WLFEA for this month. I have a lot of catching up if I'm going to be a good representative of SVFR with that IGA. Whereas I noted there is a strange agenda item regarding a non-specified complaint regarding a ride-along. I was informed that directors are very rarely seen on ride-alongs or even close or are even in close quarters with first responders. I was just on a very informative and enjoyable ride-along. There was a recent email that ended at the POC, which I'm not familiar with. POC, point of contact. Thank you. I'm supposing this nebulous complaint may involve my ride-along. I will respond to the allegations of wrongdoing by email due to my meeting absence just in case. I'm sending this only to the two presidents emailed by the chief. I may have faulted for patronizing, but it will clear the air if you will permit me. While many hire general managers self-police to avoid excessive use of their staff by board members, it is their right to restrict access via a formal channel through a point of contact. Our chief invoked that in an email dated 24 October 2023, thereby closing his office door and requiring all contacts between myself and hired personnel go through the board president. In respect to this, my rare and few inquiries, questions, contacts are now directed to the presidents with advance copy to the chief in the event the president gives my request his blessing. The president is on board. The president is on board this procedure, having passed the few I have sent in the past 4 months. However, as the gatekeeper, any new communications from the chief to me must also comply with the official channel protocol he invoked. I received an advance copy following my ride-along, but no comment, blessing, action from the president. Having stopped at their level, I figured whatever issues our chief had were resolved without my involvement. I see something suspicious on the agenda indicating this matter seems to trouble some. So I will address the advanced email copy from our chief. And this email is from Chief Schick to Director Stanton, dated February 5, 2024 at 11:58, I'm assuming AM. I hope you enjoyed your ride along and that it was informative. Unfortunately, the cruise did bring up several events that occurred during your ride along that I feel I need to address with you. The ride-along program is administered by the chief and spelled out by the policy manual.
That's from Keith's hand.
Yeah.
That's that paragraph.
Yeah.
What's that?
That paragraph's from Keith.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The ride-along program is administered by the chief and spelled out in his policy manual. He also pointed out members of the board of directors are to be treated no different than public citizens, i.e. any access to controlled areas in our facilities to be by permission, by escort, and it seems with informant reporting. If there are problems with this program, it's up to our chief, whose function is to administer, and not up to the board in their meeting agenda, whose function is to set policy. So here's the first item that the chief noted to Director Stanton on the February 5th email. Number 1, you were seen exiting a bedroom at Station 2 while unaccompanied. Crew quarters are not to be entered by civilian riders unless accompanied by an officer and with the permission of the current occupant. Then the next paragraph is from Director Stanton. I cannot have exited any bedroom as I never entered it. The chief's informants may have misreported the incident, or he may have misunderstood their report. Can our chief identify which bedroom it was? Was it occupied? Was I invited by the occupant? Did I come out through a closed door? Did anyone come forth to voice an objection at the time of the incident, etc.? Granted, it is difficult to prove I did not do something. I say I did not do, especially when it's based solely on non-named informant hearsay. The second item from the chief to Director Stanton, you were observed picking up a face sheet at the ER, which is emergency room at Peace Harbor. This information on the patient's face sheet is confidential and may be only observed by personnel if they need to have that information. The response back from Director Stanton, the chief's policy 330.1 states, quote, "The ride-along program provides an opportunity for citizens to experience the fire and EMS functions firsthand," end quote. All sign the HIPAA documents as personal privacy matters will happen as part of the ride-along. Looking at the sheet delivered by hospital staff or ambulance staff to take back to the office could consist of anything. This reaction is the first indication that whatever was on that quote face sheet was outside the scope of policy 330.1, was not covered by HIPAA, was beyond transparency, and perhaps needed to be delivered inside a folder marked quote top secret for chief size only, end quote, in bold red. If a director can stumble in observing something the chief does not want observed, known, how can the public avoid it? Next item was number 3 from the chief to Director Stanton. You had been told multiple times to wear gloves while on medical calls. Wearing gloves is mandatory. The response from Director Stanton: "I was not aware I needed to wear a wire to deal with such accusations. Perhaps the board of directors need to fund and require the use of body cams on all employees to keep informants from misreporting. For the record, I was never, quote, told, end quote, to wear gloves." One person seeing I touched a house cat pointed out pets can carry dangerous pathogens, which using prophylactic would protect against. A suggestion is quite different from statement of policy. I point out 1A, search the chief's 800-page manual, has no mention of this mandate. 2, a reading of the ride-along material makes no mention as well. 3, I was never verbally informed of any mandatory glove use. And 4, there was a mandate, then there would be the requirements to train the ride-along public how to safely put on, where to avoid gloves on one's body contact, take off without contaminating oneself. All programs are in constant flux. Here, a weakness has been exposed, with the proper response being to improve the ride-along program and not cry foul and evil wrongdoing by the public. Weaknesses in the chief's administrations are not the responsibility of the public. Then the following item, which would have been number 5, am I correct? Because it's no longer happening. 4. It was reported that you interrupted the crews with questions and comments while on the scene of the MVC motor vehicle accident involving a difficult extrication. You were there as an observer only. Your questions and comments should have been saved until after the incident, preferably back at the station when crews debrief the call. Director Stanton's response: "My employees know that observing unsafe actions is not to be kept secret. I observed several serious and avoidable safety issues during this MVC. As a ride-along, I may not interfere with the incident in general. However, if I see a careening auto heading right at the crew, I'm not going to remain detached so as not to interfere." The MVC consisted of an auto that came around the corner on a hardtop public road, posted 40 miles an hour after dark and in the rain, running off the road, dropping down 10 feet into a large ditch and tumbling, pinning the driver's legs. As a past SVFR volunteer firefighter, granted under a different chief teaching different procedures, One of the first actions was securing the environment, including posting of traffic control. This was not done, though Florence Police, SVFR, and WLAD blocked one of the lanes of this 2-lane heavily traveled high-speed roadway. Anyone coming around the corner would suddenly facing a collection of vehicles, and anyone coming from the other direction trying to get around the commotion using the single lane remaining. This went one for an hour or more, as it was a difficult extraction. I checked and noted that no road flares, no road signs, and no one directing traffic. There were plenty of police, fire, and EMS milling around. Only a small handful could get down in the ditch in close to work on the car. Some 15 minutes in, I did ask one of the 2 milling Florence police, who said it was not their job, not their concern. It was the responsibility of the fire district. The public, meanwhile, were coming from both directions, trying to get by the single lane on their own. Sometimes mentioning something to someone will percolate through an incident to then be addressed. After 15 minutes, and I approached a fireman who was looking from the edge of the road down to the ditch, more like an observer, who said there was no one available. In my training, we would first use our crew. Second, we would call for additional assistance, and failing that, would look at anyone in the area who looked capable and would employ them. At this point, it was obvious that WLFEA practice was to focus on the injured, ignoring the big picture. I positioned myself where I would not be injured by a potential secondary accident. Not only were there a number of folks milling around, I learned an ambulance crew were sent back to the bay where they finished preparing and had dinner. Had no one of all of those at various WLFEA stations responded to provide traffic control. At the very end, Rob Chance showed up, and I observed him doing some traffic control on his own to allow the record to remove the wreck. It appeared his solitary actions were not supported by the incident commander. I was thankful my scenario above of a careening auto coming around the curve heading right at the crew did not happen. Now, if our chief wants to be critical of me, asking a couple of the first responders who were standing around, then I question his priorities. I will point out, I observed serious safety violations per ODOT, safety violations per OSHA, serious lack of equipment and its proper use, and troublesome misuse of personnel to expedite the extrication. I was approached at the end of the incident for comment, at which time I offered just some of the above. In view of this email from the chief, I'm forced to consider it a negative fallout of giving further suggestions. Then another item that occurred in chief's email, you were also observed taking photographs at the scene of the MVC. These photos may not be released to the public without specific approval from the fire and EMS chief. The chief, and the Director Stanton's response, the chief, and even those asking me to sign the ride-along program HIPAA forms, pointed out that I'm just a member of the public there to observe and only assist if requested. Taking and publishing non-invasive pictures, videos, recordings in a public venue is protected by our national and state constitutions. The chief has no authority to place any restrictions on this freedom of the people. I would suggest he take some continuing education courses to become current again. He would have been in right to point out any recordings I may not, I'm sorry, may not be published as quote, WLFEA official post. Taking pictures inside someone's home is understandably a no-no. Rob asked for some pictures of the wreck, which I had sent to his way. I ended up deleting what I had before receiving our chief's email and saw no value in saving any of them. I would, this is a response from the chief back to Director Stanton from the same email. I would be happy to sit down and discuss any of these items with you if for further clarification is needed. Director Stanton's response to the chief's closing is as follows. Teams seek cooperation. They're into building bridges and know together anything they pursue will be superior as a group. I'm disappointed to be learning our chief appears to prefer conflict with his informants, erecting walls and barriers and overlooking that being inclusive is more productive than exclusive. It may be wiser for our chief to use me than abuse me. I will continue to consider him a valuable member of the team. For that day, he embraces this positive and productive concept. Signed, Keith Stanton, CCP, Board of Directors on the Siuslaw Valley Fire Rescue, Western Lane Fire, and EMS, Lane County Governments. Keith Stanton at svfr.org.
I didn't know you were such a bad guy. But he told me all about it. Sounds good. Chinese for you.
That is one option.
So with that, I'd be willing to open this up to comments, direction, any motions, if anybody wants to a motion for.
Well, he's an SPR director, so Western.
Oh, okay, but he's will be all.
My observation, the HIPAA issue is significant, getting in the way is significant. Taking operations and a safety issue. So I'm not quite, I don't know how to address it with a director. I don't know what our options are, but he didn't do well for the district.
No.
I will say when at the conference, when I was sitting waiting for the session to start, he came over and opened up and he went through every one of those things that you pointed out. And I had to just do this because I thought every one of them was a valid complaint and just common sense. And he then segued, and after the fact that the chief was not worth anything, he segued into the finances, how the finances are done. And he's got a much better system for, and I'm just like, I need to go get coffee. I'll just put all my stuff and keep on going.
So he was doing that in a public meeting place then?
Yeah, he did that.
Which is another issue, I think.
I don't care.
So I'd like to bring up that Director Stanton signed the standard operating guidelines associated with the policy review, patient confidentiality, and in there's some binding legal terms that basically says he's waiving his legal rights, his heirs, his estate assigns legal guardians, representation, and he put himself for liability here. I very concerned that somebody's out taking pictures. Were there any identifiers with those pictures of license plates, any identifiers that would,
No, but small enough town, I mean, I saw the pictures. And if you knew the person's car,
yeah,
you know, I can tell you it was a red small car, but other than that, I don't know. But there wasn't a license plate or anything. But still, like I said, I mean, like I drive the green Mini and somebody saw it in the ditch, they're gonna know whose car it is if they saw a picture of it without having a license number.
so where did you see the pictures?
He showed it to me.
So Director Stan showed you? Okay,
At the conference, was there other people there?
No, it was just right here.
It's in a public place.
It's in a public place with lots of people.
Yeah, and I don't know that it was loud enough. I mean, he was showing me all the complaints. Which, like I said, I had to.
I think it was license plate. One, I don't have the photos, but I think it was license plate.
who currently has the pictures? Who,
I think, Chief Chance
okay,
may have a copy,
Yeah,
that's all.
he said he was asked to take the pictures. And I was telling him, Chief, when I was a medic, we took pictures, but we took them for mechanism of injury and showed to the doctor in the emergency room. They weren't taking them, just mixing grains.
I guess where I am concerned is that he is to be a layperson writing. He shouldn't even have his phone out. It is completely observing. And there are multiple things here that he has done that legally he has crossed the line and has put patient information at risk. And I know that from working at Peace Health that this is probably one of those things where it should be recorded. And I think that if it was me, I would like to do an investigation, a third party, so that way it's not, you know, viewed.
Like my question was about the face sheet. Did somebody, ER staff, set it on a counter? Or did, you know, I don't know why they would hand it to him, but they set it on a counter where anybody could have picked it up and looked at it, or I don't know what the procedure is in the ER here.
So if something is flipped forward and you can see it, that's different than somebody who is picking up something and turning it over and taking a look at it. That right there crosses the line, and that was, he did not do the right thing there. That is a HIPAA violation that puts him at risk personally. And then there's this whole thing here about, he moved himself from a lay position and was told to take his director badge off multiple times, which he kept putting it back on. So now that's another issue right there, because he's not representing the board. He should have been representing as a lay person. So now he crossed another line that is very serious.
So you do an investigation, once the recourse, the investigation comes back, finds these all to be true. Well, what's the recourse that we need to take? Because if we have, or Sisal Valley, thinks that he has crossed the line and put the district at risk, is there anything that we can do to make sure this doesn't happen again?
Yeah.
Makes it difficult. It does, and then, and I think the only thing would be a censor.
That's what I was thinking, something along
You
that
know.
reprimand or something.
But again, you know, I would think that an independent third party doing an investigation into all of these is a good idea.
Well, again, this, the confidentiality statement that he signed, the 1, 2, 3, 4th paragraph down, it talks about, that agreeing to, that if he does a HIPAA violation, he's gonna report it to the operations chief. In addition, I understand that breach of patient confidentiality may result in suspension or termination of my employment and or association with the district. So right there is spelling out some of what he put on the line.
Those are really good points, and I think that's a really good point you brought up about investigation. We would need a third party investigation to.
Cause otherwise you're just gonna run into a,
He
he
said, she
said, they
said.
said, you know, thing. Cause I mean, he could, line by line, he denied every one of them. When he was showing them to.
Actually got hostile.
Well,
Yeah.
but he denied it, but then had a conversation with you and showed you some of the stuff. So right there, that really makes me question
Is,
just this whole incident or issue.
Yeah.
Or you stated he related the photographs after, but they should have. So,
But did he? How do we know that
well,
though?
if he stated it at the time, we got the complaint, we didn't done that.
Yeah,
Regardless, that's personal information on those stations. And it's against the law. It's a huge HIPAA violation, and it's private. You have no right to thumb through people's.
Well,
stations.
from what I understand, the face sheet was placed in the area that the ambulance crew cleans their stretchers and stuff. So it's placed in a place that's only for the ambulance crew. So whether it's face up or face down, it's intended for the crew
Not the public.
and not for the public rider to pick up in any shape or form. It doesn't need to be in an envelope marked top secret or anything like that. But, you know, it's placed in a secure area. If you go through and do surveys of hospital areas, there's a secure area and there's a public area. That would be considered a secure area. You don't have to have everything hidden.
But he still shouldn't be picking up.
Exactly, but you shouldn't take it out in the first place. It's not intended for him. It'd be like if Sally Joe down the street picked it up.
Yeah.
Now she's got the name, address, birthday, doesn't have a social security number, but it has all information, all kinds of information, past medical histories on there. And this is not something that the public should ever see.
Directors or chief, it's Rob.
Go ahead.
Do you have any questions for me? I'm about to walk into a basketball game, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. I did report to this specific call, kind of towards the end of it, but yeah, if you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Did you ask him to take pictures?
No.
That's what I want to hear.
The pictures
Yeah.
that you received, did you see the license plate on the car?
Yes. And he told me that he took pictures, and I asked him to send them to me. And then I later told Chief Schick that I asked him to send me the pictures so that I could tell him about it.
Send them.
To Rob.
He said
Send them to me so that I could show Chief Schick that he was taking pictures.
Chief Chance, I have a question. This is Director of Policing. Is it customary that PD does not provide traffic control on an MVA?
Usually, no, it's their scene. I actually got called there after a vehicle fire, and the person that was IC at the time asked me if I'd come and do traffic, which I was happy to do. I showed up there, and they were very happy to relinquish IC to me because they were overwhelmed with the scene. I mean, it was a difficult scene. It was a critical patient, and then it seemed like there was the chore of the writer.
Got it. Thank you.
Was this, I don't know where this accident took place, but was it inside Florence PD's?
I'm assuming
Or
so.
was it out in the county?
I think it was on rhododendron.
Yeah. Rhodey.
Really?
Close to Coast Guard, right? 16.
Yeah, it was Rhodey and Eden Lane, I think. So yeah. It was definitely in their jurisdiction. They were there. They had, I think, 2 units there. one of them being a sergeant.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
So the board can, of course, do whatever you wish. I don't know if the third-party investigator is going to find out anything different. I believe my people, I don't think they.
I don't
lying to
either.
me.
I don't doubt them.
I think what I plan on doing is, he's not allowed to do rides anymore.
What about the dorms, going in people's dorms?
Well, he's not allowed to do that, but that, he's been told that before, so.
So it's happened before, there's a pattern, he's been told not to go in the dorms before?
I'm not sure exactly. I think he was doing measurements at stations.
For what purpose?
As part of, I believe it's part of the station feasibility committee.
And we're going to,
Well,
what are
he
we
felt
gonna
they-
do with that? What are we gonna do with that?
Well, we told him he had to be a company when he's at a station.
Well, I make a recommendation that we remove him from that committee.
I think, well, that's coming up. I think we don't need that committee, so we can disband it.
Perfect. But I am very concerned about this continuing behavior. And I would like to see an independent investigation done by SVAO. I think that it needs to be brought to their attention. Maybe they can change his way of doing things.
We can certainly ask, yeah.
I just got the impression after he showed me all this and the fact that, you know, he couldn't talk to the chief because the
Yeah.
door shut and all that. Because when he finally left, I thought, God, this guy is so paranoid. You know, it's like everybody's out to get him and he's got all these wonderful ideas about how he's gonna revamp everything.
Right.
As I told Chief earlier, I said, I would like it on the record that I'm not allied with him. Even though we're the newbies.
It's understood.
I
So,
find it interesting that he spoke with you, but yet Director Bess and Director Huckle and myself were in the same building as he was at SDAO. And there were multiple times that I walked right past him. He wouldn't even make eye contact with me. And, you know, not only just coming and going from the hotel, but out on the promenade when we were going for walk. I was going for walks and stuff. And also inside the conference that apparently you've been chosen, unfortunately.
So I feel a recommendation for the board is a third-party investigator will contact SDAO.
perfect.
Give them, see what they can do for us, give them everything that we have.
Would they know what options we would have to,
Oh, yeah.
like, what recourses? I think that would be good to know. So,
Yeah. Pretty much censure.
because I don't know, yeah, I can't think of anything else.
Director Russell, like, break, I would be signed.
Which is,
He signed that he
that was-
would lose his affiliation with this district.
yeah, but I think that would be like a student. I think that was kind of it. But yeah.
Just-
Yeah, it's open-ended, but do we need to do this by resolution?
Censure would be would be a.
Right, but to initiate a third party can just be a direction that we're
From the
giving.
board of
you.
presidents, yeah.
And we do not need to take a vote on it or anything, or shall
Do we have to go into executive session to do
Yeah,
that?
there's no punishment involved.
We're just
Until after the third party investigation.
You can be sure and just take a motion and vote and make it happen.
we? Okay,
So
like,
we'll feed a motion to hire a third party or to see if FCO can provide a third party investigator.
that is correct.
Is there a motion to do that?
I make the motion.
Motion by Director Police, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Director Russell. Holly, can you do a WLFEA? Roll call?
Yes, so all directors,
Yes.
Director Cindy Russell,
Yes.
Linda Stent,
Yeah,
Mike Webb,
Yes.
Adam Holbrook,
Yes.
Vanessa Buss,
Yes.
Jim Polisi,
Yes.
David Carello,
Yes.
Lori Heppel.
Yes.
Okay, we will do that. And
Thank you.
know. Oh, yeah. Okay. So next one, Yeah, I think we had a station feasibility committee, and we got a lot of great input. I think now all our decisions need to be made at the board level. So, I don't think that needs to be an active committee anymore. So if there's no objection, let's put that, and if we need them in the future, we'll reactivate that committee. So we do have some policies for review coming up. Those listed there, they're short. Please get a chance, look at those, and look at the personal affairs standards for first responders, get a chance. Director comments. Anybody have any comments? We do have a couple of executive sessions coming up, so. Tonight. No comments?
No comment.
So, we are going into executive session. Sorry, gentlemen.
Actually, could I, request, training records from, Director Stanton from Vector? Because I know that last time we were in here, he had talked about how wonderful those were. So I'd be interested to see if he took the HIPAA class and those things.
So, joint board meeting, we're going into executive session for ORS 192.660, paragraph 2, subparagraph E, to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions.
We have people,
Yes, we do. We are not anticipating we'll come back into session,
We will not be coming back into session.
into live session.
Can we take a 2-minute break so I can go to the restroom fast?
I'll miss you for it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Linda, it's on.
we didn't talk to the board because he's, boy scares him.